So please join me in welcoming Juan Salgado, the President and CEO of Instituto del Progreso Latino in Chicago, Illinois.
Maurice, as you were speaking, I was thinking about my 98-year-old grandma who just passed away this past year. And she never knew how to read or write. She couldn't even spell her name, but we learned so much from her. So you see, I've been around people of limited and modest means all my life. And what I've learned is that they always, despite any circumstances they're in, find a moment to smile, to welcome, to care, right? And so I want everyone to take a moment, because I love to smile, right? I love to help others to smile. I love to have lots to smile about. So please, look to the person next to you and smile with them for a minute, all right? It may seem strange to you, okay? And I hear giggles going on. But the fact of the matter is, we need to smile more in America today. We need to have more for people to smile about in America today. For 16 years, I've led Instituto del Progreso Latino, a community institution that believes education is the power and freedom to live and enjoy the best that this country has to offer, the power to provide for our families and ensure a better quality of life. And one of the things I do almost every day is I take a pause in the day to truly appreciate what's happening in the environment, to truly soak in those moments in life when human beings are really growing and prospering. And so I want to share a story about this summer. This summer I was walking out, going home. It was the evening, and students were coming in. But a big truck had just pulled up, a big old truck, and there were these 3 kids having a great time in the back seat. And they caught my eye. And so I just took that pause moment. And I was looking at these 3 kids when the mom stepped out. And the mom was wearing her scrubs. She wasn't a nurse yet, but she was wearing her scrubs, because if you think you're going to be a nurse, you're going to be a nurse. And she was going to our program that has already helped 500 people, mostly women, go from 6th grade reading levels to becoming licensed practical nurses and registered nurses, going from less than $10 an hour in many cases to $24, $36 an hour, changing their lives. And so as she was headed toward the door, these 3 kids, they screamed, "We love you!" And so she looked back and she scampered back to the car. And she said something to her husband and said something to her kids, and then scampered back towards the door, and then they screamed again, "We love you." And this thing went on a couple times, right? And it was really amazing to watch. You could see this man, her husband, sitting in a car, and I had this deep admiration for him, right? Because she wasn't going to do that just that night, by the way. This is a 3, 4, 5-year journey of coming every night for 4 to 5 hours a night. This is a journey that her family was there to support in every way. And so that's a real man, right? Driving that truck. And that's a strong woman to have to leave her children every night knowing that, I'm doing this because I'm going to get a better life for them. And so it's moments like this for me that a spirit emanates from them. It's moments like these where possibilities become very real, where the world feels right. And all I can think of was, I wish everyone in the world were here to see what I just saw, to feel what I just saw, right? To be present in the moment that I was present in, right? And so I got in a car, and as I was driving home, I started to think, well, what if people were here? Would they actually see her? Or would they just walk by? Would they actually see what I see in her, what we see in her? Well, unfortunately, too often, we don't see it. You see, we create narratives. Narratives about people, about their motivation and drive to do better for themselves in life, about whether they're deserving or undeserving, about whether we ought to invest in them or just sit there and be indifferent as a society. Narratives that cast that shadow, narratives that allow for poor quality education outcomes, narratives that keep us thinking as a country that somehow we're some sort of meritocracy, when in fact we all know the privileges that allow some people to get ahead faster and more often than others. And it's not just the narratives that hold us back. It's the real world challenges families face. Families at Instituto, family of 4 on average, $19,000 a year is what they make. You work at a wage of $2.70 an hour, work full-time, full year, you'll make about $21,000 a year. That doesn't seem like a lot, but according to the Social Security Administration, 40% of workers in America make less than $20,000 a year. Now, anyone in this room ought to try living on $20,000 or less per year. The rental cost alone in my city, that's 50% of your income. Go to a dynamic urban market on the east and west coast, 80% of your income. So what do? You go live in a rural community where the jobs are no longer there? Or do you come to lower income urban centers where you might have some affordable housing? Well, those communities, the data shows, they drive how long you'll live. They define what kind of education you're going to get. They also will determine how stable your mind can be after experiencing trauma all around you. So we all know the cost of being poor is high. And that's before, by the way, predators, all those predators out there, the payday loans, the predatory lenders, the for-profit predatory colleges and universities get a hold of you. And so in that context, how can we truly believe that a better life is possible? How can we help others to believe that a better opportunity is around the corner? Well, I'll tell you what, every day when I wake up, I believe. I believe. I believe. And I know you believe, we all believe, and we've got to work to make others believe. We have to start with the lowest hanging fruit. That's what we do. Middle skill jobs, opportunities abound in that space. 49% of job openings are middle skill jobs. These are jobs in manufacturing, healthcare, IT. These are jobs with career ladders, often paying a living wage. These are opportunities that are there and actually are going unfilled. And we haven't figured out a way to connect the lowest skilled, lowest income people to those job opportunities. Well, at Instituto we have. In fact, let me say there's a hunger for what we've done at Instituto. 15 million people register in community colleges every year. Only 4 million of them ever get a credential of any economic value that allows them to propel themselves forward. So what do? We say, we got a college promise for you, student. You work hard, dedicate to your study, get help from your family, your church, your community. We will ensure you're ready for college. You won't need to do any of that developmental education that doesn't get you anywhere. And when you enroll in college, what happens? Well, let me tell you what happens at our place. 80% advancement from what's called development education, 92% licensure rate, near 100% job placement rate. You see, our country should have, thank you. Our country should have a college promise like the one we have in Instituto. We should dream and we should execute a nation that really prepares every one of its citizens for success in life. We should have an instituto in every community. A society where community colleges are the highest performing, highest valued institutions in our society. Where employers have an abundance, a pipeline of available talent sufficient to grow and compete. And where people have living wage jobs that allow them to pay for rent, a home, save for college, and pay for retirement. We can achieve this in America if we believe. If you believe, if I believe, if we all believe it and we act accordingly, we can do this. Aurora Ibarra, let me tell you, met her 10 years ago. This is a Mexican immigrant who had lost her husband, passed away. She's with 3 kids, all on her own. She worked in the day, she painted houses on the weekend, and at night, she came to school. She had a dream of becoming a nurse, started as a 6th grade reader. In 3 years, got her LPN. In 5 years, got her RN. Actually came back to teach at our institution, to help others to grow and prosper. And so, just the other day, a 19-year-old girl came in with a little baby and caught my eye. And so I walked over to make sure I took advantage of that moment. And it was familiar in a really positive sense, in a sense of I've seen her before. She has amazing dreams. She has great possibilities. She has assets to build upon. She has a desire. She believes in herself, and we believe in her. But she's not alone. There are 36 million people in America today who do not read or compute at a level necessary to enter into programs that will allow them to get credentials and degrees of economic value in the real marketplace for jobs and opportunities. And those people, they come from rural communities and urban communities. They're U.S. born, they're immigrant, they're black, white, brown, they're every shade in between. They're non-traditional students. They're adult learners. They voted for Donald Trump. They voted for Hillary Clinton. They voted for Johnson. They didn't vote at all in some cases. But I tell you what, they are our ticket. They are our ticket. They're our ticket to healthy communities and vibrant economies. They are our ticket to the continued promise of upward mobility in this country. And what we need to do is we need to shift and align our education systems in order to meet their needs, in order to give them opportunities. We need to invest and fund in their education. Because quite frankly, to invest in them is to invest in us all. Thank you so much.
This was great. You have really inspired us. There are so many people in the communities that we work in, that many of us actually live in, who are doubtful. What are the ingredients that you use to really help the students at Instituto sort of maintain that motivation?
Yeah.
You believe, we all want to believe, but that sustained motivation, how do you make that happen?
When people arrive, they're ready. They're already ready. See, we can encourage or discourage. That moment when people make a critical decision in life, we've got to wrap ourselves around them, number one. Number two, we have to put them in a community of people. I can't be that community. My staff can't be that community to them all. And so we work in cohorts where people support each other. And it's this amazing thing that happens. They don't let each other drop off. they have those similar stories, they have that similar spirit, they have that similar drive, and they just don't, they persevere together, they triumph together, and they're disciples up into the world about what's possible. And so the good news gets carried by these very folks. And so they become messengers, messengers of hope and opportunity and possibility. And by the way, they recycle hope because, boy, they give us energy, right? Yes. I mean, the next day you feel what they're emanating, and you can't help to believe that a better day is coming. Right. Yeah. Or a better day is here.
A better day is here. There are other questions. I know there are. Yes? Let's get a mic over here.
There we are. Mr. Salgado, you heard our CEO earlier assert an imperative for us at LISC to become more involved in state and local policy work, and especially around issues of employment and income. You know LISC, and as far as your work is concerned, where should we start?
Well, I said when I spoke, I mean, we've started where the jobs are going unfilled, period. And we said, where are the jobs going unfilled, and who are the folks that are most in need of that opportunity, right? In some ways. I mean, we went to say the education system wasn't focused on a sixth grade reader or a fourth grade reader. They just didn't see the possibilities there, right? And there are other populations where the possibilities aren't seen. I might just say, in our manufacturing program, 70% of our participants are African American. Why? Because they too, right? This isn't just a Latino thing, right? We've had a school system that for years hasn't properly prepared folks, and they've been out of school for some time. And so we need to ensure that people can actually play in the economy through education, and we need to connect them to the highest growth jobs. I don't think it stops there, right? Obviously, there are a lot of jobs out there that ought to be, they're actually middle skill jobs. They're just not paid like middle skill jobs, right? And so we need to get back to the business of paying for skills, right? Look at the home care industry. A lot of skill goes into caring for the human beings that we love the most. And we have to do some reflection, right? So part of this process is reflection. And what I really appreciated from Maurice earlier is that he caused us to reflect, right? Well, as a nation, we have to be caused to reflect. How much do we really care about our elderly if we can't pay the worker that cares for them a living wage? What does that say about us as human beings? And so I think it's a cause for reflection right now. And that's what I think we need to do more of. Less talking at people, just saying, think about this for a minute. It's a soft way of getting us to get jolted.
That's great. Another question. Social media is coming in, y'all.
Anna Leslie, who is a young public health professional in Boston, has asked via Facebook, what do you think is the best way to support a family with working moms or dads on a non-standard schedule?
Yeah. So scheduling is a real challenge. Scheduling is a real challenge for the education process. We're going to need to build new tools. We're going to need to build tools. We built an English language tool where people were learning mobily whenever they had the time and opportunity. Got $1 million grant from MacArthur to build the tool and test the tool. And I will tell you, it works. It particularly works for people like women in domestic violence who can't leave the home and come to my center. Well, now she's got a tool to learn. So there's lots of ways, I think, where technology can help us to achieve those goals.
We might be able to take one more question. I'm looking around the room. Hearing none, I want you to join me in thanking Juan and for the work that he does at Instituto.
Thank you.